on a Twisted Fate, on a Nocturne, something like that. They are just so good at ganking together.
Yeah, and they've started really picking it up as well here. So we are at the champ select for game 1. IG on the blue side for this first one. World Elite over on the red. And Annie and a Vega, so 2 support bans already.
Yeah, coming out, wanting to get them off the board. The heavy engaged supports really are starting to shine. We saw Leona in the last game. If you can get a secondary engager in that bottom lane, it just does so well around these mid-game fights.
Yeah, it does. An interesting ban here for IG. Going to target Aluka just a bit here with a Gnar ban, but Gnar, of course, still very strong on this 5.2 patch.
Yeah, he certainly is. And I guess with that transform coming through, he's able to get in and affect the fights. And Ahri being taken away from Rookie, these are very specific bans here.
Yeah, a smart ban, though, I think. Rookie are pretty good on Ahri and one of the strongest members of IG. Possibly it's a star player here as well, though IG playing so well together, it's hard to actually say that, but we'll have to see as the season develops for this team as well. One more ban left for IG.
Yeah, and we've mentioned how deep the champion pool is on IG's lineup. Maybe they're just banning against what is strong. If you look, Viga, very strong pick. Ahri, very strong pick. Just take them off the board.
Yeah, you know, don't worry too much about target bans. Ninja not being looked at here either. Again, World Elite, I think, still building up their resume as far as their picks and their potential goes. But Lissandra, the last ban there for IG, another pretty standard ban. And World Elite have got one more left now.
Yeah, so last standard ban to come through might be something like Aurelia or maybe even like a Maokai. Get rid of like those bricks in the top lane. But I don't think you can look past Rookie. He's just got too many good champions. Kassadin's another one that comes to mind that just is too dangerous to play against.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Kassadin go, especially given that World Elite don't really play it from what we've seen. But instead, Azir is going to be the last ban there. So IG have their pick of a lot of strong champions now.
Yeah, they certainly do. Kassadin comes to mind. Of course, all the junglers still up. Maybe Kakao takes Jarvan or something like that. Try and get it away from Spirit in the jungle, but really is a smorgasbord open here, and there is the risk. There's a Kassadin.
Yeah, great pick up there from IG. Gonna take the, I guess what we'd call the standard first pick on this batch. It is Kassadin, number 1.
It certainly is, and it's just so strong in 2 positions, so you don't give anything away, and unless they really pick up something like a Janna to disrupt it, there really isn't much you can do against Kassadin. He's relentless and keeps coming.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon probably not playing Kassadin, hasn't played a mage yet, I believe, in the top side, but it is still a flex pick, and Rookie, a very scary Kassadin. It's a pretty safe blind pick there as well, but World Elite going to mix things up slightly. Corki for aggressive mid-game, and Nidalee there probably for Spirit.
Yeah, probably for Spirit, but we have seen it a little bit more in the mid lane, and Ninja does play Nidalee. Very good at these poke-heavy mid laners, so wouldn't be surprised if it went there, but it's just so strong in the jungle at the moment.
Yeah, and IG now going to get their next 2 picks. We'll see what they do want to go for. There's Kakao, of course, looking very dapper there in his garb there for the Chinese New Year break, and he's pretty happy about this game. Back finally after the break and looking to continue form that he started just in week 5.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I like the next 2 picks that come through. They're really facilitating towards Rookie and Kakao here. 2 dive-heavy people and getting rid of the Morgana. So no Black Shield to stop that Assault and Battery coming through. Rookie dives on top with Kassadin as well, and they just delete someone off the map. We've seen it used to great effect. We saw it last game with Looper and Dade. Very similar tactic coming through here.
Yeah, really similar. We talk about, you know, duos that like to dive. Kakao Rookie really do like to dive, and Kakao's going to get some help there. Possibly the best looking Vi so far in the LPL.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that when you look at the champions STYZ plays as well, the hyper carries, he does have Corki in this game, but I think that this will be something that IG will consider revisiting if STYZ does want to go towards a Jinx, does want to go towards something like that.
Yeah, and even Ninja's champions as well. He plays like pretty immobile, high damage mid laners, at least recently. You can Vi ult them as well, and Nivea's a great target.
Yeah, it certainly is, and really does catch her out because needs to stay alive to get that Storm going for a long period of time to get the persistent damage out. Janna and, I guess, the Maokai being picked away here. World Elite has had a good draft so far.
They have. I mean, it's not the World Elite we've seen in the last few weeks, I guess, where they've looked quite comfortable on some off-meta picks, but they're taking a lot away here from IG. I like the steal of Maokai away from Pokemon. Janna, of course, a very solid champion. So IG have, you know, plenty of things here. They've got a very strong comp already, but that would be very different if they do want to pick those up. Yeah,
it certainly would be. I'd expect a Mundo to come out here because Maokai really can't get through, but if they go with the Jace, that will be a top lane Kassadin.
Yeah, so they actually are going to, looks like, give it over to Pokemon. Graves there, the pick for Kid. Pretty standard stuff, but is Jace last pick there for IG? So Pokemon's going to have a very different role now in this team.
Yeah, he certainly does. He needs to be able to get in there and, I guess, really help Kakao take out that Corki or whatever is taken into the mid lane here. So very different role. I think that first 2 items, Cassidy actually has a very similar playstyle to Maokai. It sounds really silly because one's a huge tank and one's a very, I guess, assassin-heavy top laner. But you go the roller, you go into the Zhonya's Hourglass, and your job is to get in the back line and then disrupt. So very similar role. It's after that where Maokai gets extremely unkillable and Cassidy goes into a very mobile threat that they differ. But the first couple of items, Pokemon should be relatively comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. It's a big change here, but last pick, Ezreal's going to go to Ninja, one of his most comfortable champions, and a fine matchup here against what we assume is the Jace.
Yeah, and I like the Ezreal pickup. We mentioned that Corki augments poke comps very well. Throw an Iceborne Gauntlet or a Trinity Force for even more damage and a Jungle Nidalee. They can group as 3 from maybe even the 12-minute mark when that second blue buff is about to come up and really start shoving down these lanes. And we really have seen a great effect of poke comps with this Nidalee coming back into the meta.
I mean, we have, but my worry, I guess, for World Elite is that, A, it's different to what we've seen, and that's not necessarily bad. It's just not what we've seen them do so far. And for me, you have to get ahead early and mid. You have to kind of get ahead and stay ahead to win with a poke comp.
Yeah, it certainly does. And we're about to see the jungle matchup. That's what really worries me about it, because you've got a Vi going against a Nidalee, and if they ever meet one-on-one, Vi is going to absolutely, I guess, punch Nidalee up.
Yeah, really just beat her up. I mean, Vi pretty good at breaking cedars. There's Cacao versus Spirit, of course, so pretty interesting jungle matchup. Rookie going to take, a champion that he's known for, at least in the past here, and Ninja taking comfort there as well, but that's very poke-heavy in the mid lane.
Yeah, it certainly is extremely poke-heavy in a back-and-forth lane, because Ezreal can E out of that to the skies and help out a lot to get rid of a lot of the damage. So I think that is one to watch and really does need to be focused on.
Yeah, and I do like the swap up there as well. Again, Morgana versus Janna, pretty, I guess, defensive supports. They do like to protect their carries more than just, going aggressive. We're not going to see big engage from UJ or from Kitties here as well, which they've both played. So, again, some different comps, but we'll see what happens. We're just about to get under the rift. And welcome back for our third matchup this evening. Invictus Gaming going to kick off their first game against World Elite here. Blue side for IG, red here for World Elite. And World Elite, Anivia, Cho'Gath, Scion, not today. A full poke comp they've picked up here.
Yeah, going for the Ezreal. And if they go double Trinity Force, they have a very early power spike on that one item. Graves matches it very well, you have to say, as far as AD carries go, but might be able to pick on the Cassin and might be able to get into the tier stacking Jace and really dictate the flow of the game.
It may be, but for me personally, I've really attributed a lot of recent World Elite form, which again, they haven't won too much, but they've looked good, to a lot of strong mid to late game team fighting. World Elite committing to much more early and mid game here. So we'll see if this different look for them can actually convert into a game win here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They have looked much better when they're playing for that mid-late game, but it's just to the point where I think they're trying something different once again. They're still trying to really find that what works for them, and it's getting to the point where they're starting to get closer, but you really haven't felt that they've nailed it just yet.
No, not quite. And again, exactly halfway through the season now. This is a rematch where IG won 2-0 in week 3, I believe. But we'll just see how the lanes will shake out here. Looks like Kid and Kitty's down towards the bottom, and we are going to break out into standard lanes.
Yeah, I would expect standard lanes to come through here. Cassidy versus Maokai. It goes in Maokai's favor early, surprisingly because of Maokai's auto attacks, because Maokai can W onto Cassidy and has very high base auto attacks to come through with that AD. Mid lane will be a very, very high skill matchup. I would expect the Jace to get ahead early just because of the wave clear aspect, and Spirit actually starting Wolves here.
Yeah, something really different actually for Nidalee again. Actually, no, she was not changed, I believe, on this patch. Could have been, but Spirit going to start on the Wolves here, not for a major buff like the Gromp. And looks like it's actually going to move into blue, so some very creative pathing early on.
Yeah, able to get across there. They gave up the Gromp to their duo lane, which was why they did it, and a very good XP lead coming through here. And not going to be shoved in because he's got that shield and phosphorus bomb, and look, he just shoves straight back into the graves.
And you know what? I love this. STYZ, when he was really coming up again, end of last year, moving into the LPL, he was definitely an aggressive carry player. So I like that he's back on form here, going to get a quick level 2 and might be able to start bullying one of the LPL's most consistent duos.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that this is something that if we continue to see out of Morgana players, starting that W and trying to push the lane, people are going to go aggressive very early. And we see STYZ wasn't able to actually get the lane pushing as much as he would have liked, but now it's equalized and he's in a very good position.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup's sort of interesting. Who do you think gets the best takeaway here as far as the aggressive Corki versus Graves matchup?
Yeah, I think that generally this is one of those matchups that unfortunately does come down to support players. And I think that in this matchup, Janna is much, it sounds weird, Janna's better in lane than Morgana because adds a lot of augmentation through that E and is able to knock up the person that doesn't get the spell shield on. But in saying that, you can never underestimate the burst damage that comes out at level 6. I think that that is the point that if they get poke damage, it goes to Corki, but the hard engage definitely goes to the Graves Morgana.
Yeah, so we'll have to see, even on CS there in the bottom, but moving in towards the mid lane now as well. Rookie starting alongside here on Jace, so a bit more aggressive and going to try and push in Ezreal as much as he can.
Yeah, certainly is. Looking for that early brutalizer, not wanting to go for double Durans or anything like that. Needs to get a tier as soon as possible. And I think that the benefit of here for the Jace is that he pushes much better than Ezreal can push back. And that's where he really wins out in this lane. Has surprising burst damage, all that good stuff that Jace normally has. But this matchup specifically, Ezreal struggles when people pushes into him.
Yeah, we'll see here. Ninja's probably going to keep getting pushed in for the early levels especially. But moving into our last matchup here for the top lane as well. Pokemon, this is probably the biggest difference here. He's actually quite behind in CS already. 10 CS as a Luca. Went back for a second Durans and is walking back to lane. But this is a completely different champion for Pokemon.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I want to see how Pokemon plays it because Kassadin really, you tell how aggressive a Kassadin player is going to be by how many points he puts in his Q before transitioning to the E. We've seen people like Dade just 1 point in Q and then go for the E max to really go for the trading potential, as we see potentially first game coming into mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to move Nidalee over there. Actually, Spirit does go in. Good pressure, and Rookie forced to flash away.
Yeah, so had to burn the flash there. Has the Ignite for the offensive summoner spell, not electing for the heal, so had to burn the gap-closing summoner spell there, and really good gank.
Yeah, so Ninja, who was maybe 2 CS behind before, going to start getting ahead now and can start pressuring Rookie. I mean, Rookie wants to be aggressive and push here, really wave clear and push up against the turret, but if he's still, if he's getting ganked like that with no flash, can't afford to.
Yeah, and now pressure on Kakao to be able to counter gank it. So many good wards. That deep ward in the Wraith, the Raptor Brush, is one of the most key wards if you are looking to pressure mid early because it shows you where Kakao is whenever he wants to clear that camp. Raptor is one of the most important camps in the game because of the fact that it allows you to clear wards, and every time he roams past, now they're comfortable to dive top potentially because they know exactly where Kakao is.
Yeah, Spirit going to move up now here as well. Instead, we'll just move back here. Pokemon, not the hardest, not the worst gank, sorry, before 6 here, but looks like Pokemon will just maybe give up here as Spirit does just pop down into this brush, and actually they are going to go in. Pokemon will get ninja'd up there. Now Spirit going to dive in. The Q comes through. Great pounce to follow in there, and the first blood does go to Aluka.
Yeah, and Aluka once again dives in there with the W and just repetitively auto attacks. Maokai's base AD is, I think, 3rd highest in the game, and just able to capitalize on top of that, CSing much better. The early first back for the boots to keep him in range was key on that. And now he's gone back, picked up the blasting one before even both components, looking to continue to push out this, I guess, different pick coming out of Pokemon.
Yeah, very different pick. Doesn't even have his Catalyst done, just some components. So 95 flat AP for Aluka. So very aggressive early item choices. And Spirit did a little bit of counter jungling. You mentioned the Raptor Ward. He actually stole that away from IG. Now with his Trailblazer going to move into some more AP, and Spirit having a very good early jungle against Kakao.
Yeah, fantastic early game jungle in Nidalee if you are able to land that spear, which twice now Spirit has been able to do, and the gap closer just comes out so far.
Yeah, we'll see back down to the bottom now as well. Graves actually a little bit ahead of this Corki, so Kid with, I'd say, the slightly more aggressive AD, getting a little bit ahead, but SDYS is not too fussed.
Yeah, he's not that far behind. I guess the pickaxe is a much better first buy than what the Rookie looking to get aggressive, than what the Ruby Crystal and Longsword is, so that's why Graves is starting to eke ahead. In saying that, though, the components of a Trinity Force are much more useful than the raw AD.
Yeah, Spirit actually hit level 6 now, going to jump on top of the Dragon with a Pink Ward right in the pit and just try and solo it away. IG are actually pushed up in the bottom side, and Kakao's here, and they still don't know that Spirit's in the pit doing Dragon.
Yeah, and I can't believe Kakao hadn't warded that because Nidalee just does Dragon so quickly from early on in the game and farms extremely well. Now collapsing, but that's a level 6 Nidalee before the buffs have spawned for a second time, just spawning now.
Yeah, and the kill that he got on the top side, the pressure he was able to get, some of the camps he took away here, just a very quick level 6, a good Trailblazer early on, and Ninja now going to get the blue buff.
Yeah, it certainly is, and once again, you see Aluka utilizing that auto attack whenever he can, just beating through the shield, not throwing any Orent spells into it, and He's really started to bully this top lane now, repetitively shoving in, looking to get every advantage possible.
Yes, TYZ is forced to back away, but does get back to the safety of his minions. Again, Kids Graves getting a bit more aggressive here down towards the bottom side of the map, but Wardlet already have the first dragon, 1,000 gold ahead actually as well. STYZ, he's more than happy if he's just staying a little bit behind here.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's waiting on that level 6, the Sheen and Phage to be finished up where he can start poking out in this lane. As I said, if it turns into a poke lane, Corky's going to be happy. He'll win it. But if they can get an engage here with Kitty's Dark Binding landing, Kid's brute force that comes out of that collateral damage and buckshot is just going to be so hard to cope with.
Yeah, I like that from Will. Very sneaky by Rookie, just poking Ninja out. But Ezreal does have the blue buff. Cacao did his a little later, so Rookie going to get it in a minute or two, you have to think. But both mid laners stacking up with their first initial buy of the tier. Going to be a lot in the early game for these AD carries, you have to think.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that both sets of AD carries have a lot of pressure if you put Jace in that category, because Graves' Jace have a lot of be able to burst people down, and ooh, nearly the steal coming across. Cacao actually nearly paid for holding that with his life there. Great heads-up play coming out of Ninja, but they both have surprisingly high burst damage, but on the persistent threat, the Trinity Force users do tend to win out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we're going to chart that item spike here. Pretty much IE is going to raise Trinity Force, but Rookie did get his blue buff, and Spirit actually has the Magus. He's going to go back into the mid lane, almost gets the spear. Rookie might have redonated the blue.
Yeah, looking to get aggressive one more time onto Rookie, and you can tell that it started to play on him. Missed a cannon creep. He's 11 CS behind. So this Ezreal starting to get rolling, and he's picked up a cloth armor. A very good item pickup against Jace is actually Ninja Tabi. I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't into the Iceborne Gauntlet. Wouldn't be surprised if it was, because a very good poke item composition coming through there. But because of how Jace's W works, getting those 3 auto attacks through actually mitigates a lot of Jace's early game's damage.
Yeah, and you know, Ninja looking very strong in this Ezreal champion. He is comfortable on. I guess Woodley have an interesting choice here. We've talked about their comp being mid-game focused. Do they want 1 or 2 Trinity Forces?
Yeah, so I think that if they go 1 Trinity Force, Iceborne Gauntlet, that means they want to siege. If they go double Trinity Force, that means that they want to start getting a little bit scrappier around the map and fight these dragons. So it depends what they place higher value on, and I think that depending on how far ahead will force what they go for.
Cacao, though, is actually in this brush. He's snuck in. He's got his ult ready, but Waterlit already back away from the bottom side. Very safe play there. Spirit actually going to come down, clear out some wards, and threaten the 3v3 as well. And I didn't think I'd be saying this today in the matchup, but 2 of Waterlit's lanes are ahead.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they're playing very well. The top lane is the one that surprises me, because Pokemon's been so good at equalizing, and it's just to the point now where World Elite, we credited them. They play well when they're ahead and very poorly when they're behind. If they can get ahead, especially with a team comp like this, they're going to look dangerous in the mid game.
Yeah, and my question was, could they get ahead? They played a lot more mid-late game style, but this is very much more mid or early game focus, and so far so good for them.
Yeah, it certainly does look that way. Only really the bottom lane getting, I guess, struggling a little bit, and even that, in a very bully-heavy matchup lane because of how Graves works, that's not a horrible outcome for Corky.
No, I mean, still farming up here. Quick check on the gold difference there as well. What, 400 gold between the twos? You know, not the best result for STYZ, but again, he'll take it.
Yeah, he certainly will, and you look across the map, there's certainly bigger gaps starting to form. 900 in the jungle just because of how much more impact Spirit's been able to have. And he picked up the first dragon as well. The second one's coming up in a couple of minutes, so look for him to pressure that area of the map one more time.
Yeah, we've seen Cacao do the big AP in Italy build. He had a Magi's famously in the game that he's played on Italy here. Spirit is going for AP. He's already done the Magus Enchant finish for his Trailblades and actually going for a tier as well.
Yeah, and the amount, how quickly he's pushed through his jungle has allowed this tier pickup. Normally not a great pickup in my opinion, but because he is 900 gold ahead, that's a free tier. That's a value right there. He's not giving anything away to Cacao. He's in the exact same position, so it's not a greedy item build in this regard because he's ahead.
And we've often seen Spirit, when he's playing well, be a good control jungler here. And he's not playing a traditional control jungler, but his presence around this map is so scary to IG that he's just controlling simply by possibly being there.
Yeah, he certainly is, and now he's stalking Cacao out.
Good pounce there coming through as well. The Q does land in. And now Spirit, can he land another spear? Cacao does juke it. Rookie comes in, but Ezreal gonna force a flash out from Cacao.
Yeah, and once again, really good play. He got that deep ward and the wards in the river, and he just tracked Cacao throughout the whole jungle. Burns another summoner spell. Kakao won't be able to go as deep. And once again, now he knows where he is. He can look towards the top lane.
They're going to move in now here as well, possibly for a dive actually as well. Pokemon has to be a little bit careful. Spirit will track him. The spear does land. The pounce on there as well. Resetting for so much damage, and Pokemon has to turn in and try and get the Q down. The smite, I think, no, didn't quite come down as well, but Cassidy does get away.
Yeah, he certainly does, but that will mean that they're able to pick up at the top turret, so that's been equalized. IG's response, a very good one. They're pressuring down mid lane.
Yeah, they already took the bottom tower there as well. They're going to look for a second and probably get it here as well between Jason Graves. No, too scared of Ninja or Luca actually teleporting down as well. Kid going to get knocked back, but he flashes out of the way. Rookie now could be in trouble, but Kakao just goes on a Spirit and dunks him. Now Aluka taking a lot of damage. UJ pops his ulti to disengage, but Aluka still taking a little bit too much damage. Rookie going to clean him out. There's just not enough damage here. World Elite just getting destroyed as Pokemon moves in for another kill. The rest of IG moving through 3 for 0 so far. Ninja gets a trade kill, make it 4 for 1. The tower not quite dead. STYZ holding on for dear life. The tower goes down. Pokemon moves in for STYZ. It might be another kill here, but Rockets firing back. Simply a 4-1.
Yeah, and wow, what a turnaround fight for IG. We mentioned if it gets into a poke battle that World Elite will win out. I don't know why they would go for a hard engage. Graves turned around and chunked the whole lineup, allowing for Pokemon to dive in there as a Cassidy. And if there is one situation you want to be in as a Cassidy, it is going forward, using that Force Pulse to slow everyone and clean up team fights.
Yeah, especially against a team that, like you said, it just wants to sit back and poke. Cassidy pretty good at saying no to that sort of stuff and hard engaging, but World Elite at least will pick up a Constellation Dragon.
Yeah, so they grab the Dragon, but the danger here is that they've got 2 Dragons, but given up the early game gold advantage, and they don't really need the stats that come out of Dragon because they're Trinity Force users. They don't use the raw stats. What they needed was the early gold lead, the early control over the map to be able to use this poke comp to take down structures. And if we have a look at the team fight, they just commit so hard, and look at that collateral damage buckshot, chunking out everyone, and Pokemon is in the perfect position to chase. Full health, returning from base. This is what Cassidy does. Leaps in again, able to get another kill here onto the Janna, and he's not done. Just continuing to frontline, continuing to get in there. Another slow coming across everyone. They turn it into a siege and get the turret. So that's really where Pokemon needs to be. He'd been held down. Now that he's picked up a kill, couple of assists, he's in a much better spot. And
this always happens with Cassidy, it feels like, in the LPL. You know, people know how to punish him. They can land against him quite well. But whenever a team fight breaks out, Cassidy is always the best person to clean up and get gold.
Yeah, the problem is you blink and he really does take over a game. As, ooh, that might actually be a very good true shot barrage to spot out where the members of IG were. Now a ward going to go over the... yeah, so well spotted out there for World Elite. But you're exactly right. Cassidy is one of those people that you keep him down for such a long time. You have one bad fight and he explodes.
Yeah, and our Pokemon, who was, you know, actually kind of down here, still down in TS actually to Aluka, having a much better time. Rotavate is completed for both top laners now as well. Pokemon's still behind in gold actually versus Aluka, but he's starting to power up, and all Cassidy really needs at this point is time. Yeah,
and the problem is that Aluka will get more tanky and will become, I guess, very hard to deal with. But they have a very good team comp to deal with Maokai because it's a lot of persistent damage, not a lot of burst damage that will be mitigated by that ultimate. Jace is going to sit there and continue to use his W, get those more mana procs through and really start chunking him out. Whereas Cassidy, he has a field day. He's got 2 AD carries to choose from to jump on top of, really tie down along with this Vi pickup. So I guess will be much more effective in the late game than what the Maokai counterpart will be.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of IG's comp here. World Elite, very narrow, very specific. That's sort of what happens when you pick Nidalee in the jungle, I feel. And IG, just a few more options here as well. STYZ, though, finally completes his Trinity Force. A little late there on that one. Just about the top end of where he could have finished it.
Yeah, certainly. And we said that he was about 10 CS behind and he'll take that. 30 CS is not where he wants to be. And now it's to the point where I don't know if he can go toe-to-toe with the Jace. Got the level advantage, has been able to pick up a lot of those core items for Jace now with the Brutalizer and the cooldown reduction boots. Going to be able to poke out in this bottom lane very heavily.
Yeah, and you mentioned cooldown boots there. Pokemon actually going for those as well.
Yeah, so I guess if he goes a Morellonomicon now, he has the ability to chase in very quick succession, will starve himself of mana, but is a very, I guess, aggressive build. If he goes for something like a Zhonya's Hourglass, will be stuck in the position, but I think that it's because he doesn't feel that people are going to itemize magic resist this early in the game because there's a double AD comp on the other side of the rift, so just a little bit more the cooldown reduction boots Lucidity are actually one of the highest gold values for cooldown reductions in the game.
Yeah, and I like the choice there from Pokemon, but we'll see what happens as the game develops a little bit more. IG 1,000 gold ahead now after World Elite were about the same just a few minutes ago. No Dragons here to contest. A couple towers still up on the outer ring there as well. IG currently lead the score there at 2-1, but Invictus Gaming starting to power up, and the mid-game threats especially, Graves and Jace, starting to get a lot of big items.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I guess it's not being mirrored yet on the side of World Elite. Jace and Graves, really, after they get those 2 item spikes, if Jace is able to get the last Whisper within the next like 4 or 5 minutes, he's going to be very strong at 23 minutes, which will coincide with the next Dragon fight. So they need to be careful of that. Iceborne Gauntlet really does need to come through, and they need to start controlling the map. If you're playing a poke-heavy comp like this and you're behind in turrets, something has gone seriously wrong in the mid-game.
Yeah, and you saw it before. That one big team fight that IG were able to win was the thing that went wrong, and World Elite now kind of backs up against it. Ninja looks like he'll be completing his 2-item spike pretty quickly here, presumably going to go back, finish up his Gauntlet, and does get it, and is 530 mana or so through the tier, so close to the transformation there as well. But I like that you mentioned Rookie's build, because for me, that is the jumping off point for Jace, when you have those 2.5 items.
Yeah, it certainly is, because it coincides with your transform as well. So all of a sudden, you go from not doing much damage to being absolute out of this world with the transformation coming through, and we just saw there is getting on the way, 506 out of the 750, so he's looking at this point in the game to really accelerate on Jace and get his team in a winning advantage.
Yeah, we have a lot of tiers in this game actually, and a lot of Rod of Ages, so lots of scaling power here for both sides, but still plenty of power. And when a lot of this is all going to coincide around the 20-25 minute mark, we've got a pretty explosive mid-game, especially with the Dragon coming back up in just over a minute.
Yeah, we certainly will, and we see the poke coming out of Rookie, trying to chunk UJ out. He's just a little bit far away from that spike he wants. Maybe if the Dragon was 2 minutes delayed, he would be in his position. Wow.
Yeah, Kakao though, going to ult in onto STY. The heal flash out of the way. Kid X took a lot of damage. UJ though just face tanks the Kid ultimate, and the Luca has put her back in to protect his front line. Ninja going in a decent ulti there, but not quite enough burst damage, and everyone disengages.
Yeah, more importantly though for IG, they managed to burn the Janna ultimate, so there is no way they can do that again until that cooldown is back up, which puts them in a fantastic position, because they still have the Kassadin to be able to slow people and allow the poke damage to come through.
Yeah, you know, Kakao doesn't have his ulti, but you mentioned the Rift Walk. Pokemon can get in whenever he would like here as well, but World Elite going to set up some vision around this Dragon. It seems like back up in 15 seconds now. They'd love to get their third.
Yeah, I guess the shining light here is the fact that Aluka, very full health, and Spirit does have that heal to be able to get people topped off.
Yeah, Rookie actually diving forward there to the minions. STYZ though will just back off here on the Corki, and actually now Kitty's going to get dove on Aluka, going very aggressive. Does get hit by a Dark Binding. Kakao going to find the win there. Aluka though does pop his ulti, taking so much damage here, and the poke is just coming in. Aluka base tanking everything while the rest of his team pause poking. Kakao going to go down. The Pokemon are going to get low as well. Aluka will disengage. World Elite already get one kill. That's going to kite and fight here and keep poking under the turret. Ezreal's already back. Kid gonna dodge some spears, and World Elite gonna get this tower.
Yeah, and that is what the World Elite lineup was trying to do. Prolong the team fight, poke them out, make them go backwards and get rid of all that Rift Walk damage, and it gets them an objective, maybe even 2.
Yeah, gonna get their second Dragon. It seems like Rookie gonna line up for the steal, but actually just doesn't even pull the trigger on the Shock Blast. Instead, World Elite will run back towards the mid side, pinging the outer turret there now as well.
Yeah, so it looked like Rookie was hoping UJ would come around face check for that pink ward. He doesn't. They just transition into a mid lane push. This is going to be 3 unanswered objectives, and very well played from World Elite.
Yeah, 280 carries in Italy, very good at pushing down turrets, and you can see the potential here for World Elite when they have those longer fights here and are able to poke out. Aluka played that fight fantastically.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was able to zone and ate all of the damage at this point in the game with that Ninja Tab, by just mitigating a lot of damage that comes out of Graves, as well as Jason. We already mentioned how good that passive on the item is to get rid of the W that Jace pumps through. No transformation, no last whisper. Rookie wasn't in a position to fight. I don't know why they did.
I mean, they got a binding and thought they could get a pick, and unfortunately, Aluka just too tanky. And the other thing I love about his build, you mentioned his boots, love the pickup against the 80 heavy IG, but that early distortion upgrade is going to be very useful in this mid game.
Yeah, it certainly is. It allows him to beat the Kassadin around the map in regards to teleports, but the flash engages, because at some point they do have to be able to pull the trigger. They can poke as much as they want, but if they can't get a hard engagement response, they're not going to get anything for it. So able to get in there with the flash twisted advance, will be able to help Aluka get exactly what his team wants.
Exactly, and now World Elite starting to get a few more items ahead. The gold almost evened up here as well. World Elite 800 gold ahead, excuse me, but STYZ, he's got a Trinity Force. He's moving in for his Bloodthirster now as well. Ninja working on the way, got his cooldown boots done, plus a longsword. We've got Frozen Heart almost finished up for Aluka as well. I mean, the items just across the board now coming up for World Elite.
Yeah, they certainly are, and this is a position they wanted to be in. Transform will come in a couple of seconds for Ninja in the mid lane, and with that Iceborne Gauntlet just can set up the siege. It's a very control-heavy composition. Maokai is the best single tank lineup in the game. He just performs the duty so well because he's passive on his ultimate makes everyone else in his team tanky. So not only is he a very huge tanky threat to deal with, he making everyone else tanky just allows people to survive longer than they normally would and has very good disruption through that Q, as well as all of Janna's disengage. They have nearly a perfect disengage comp here. Yeah,
they really do here, and you can see all these items are stacking up now as well. Rod of Eight pretty much fully stacked for both. Pokemon's is certainly done. The tiers are on the way. It's about 50 mana away from Ninja when we last checked in, so plenty of time left here. Last Whisper done for Rookie, not quite on the transformation, but it is not far away for any of these teams. And World Elite, they are ahead, but they do have to play carefully.
They certainly do, because there's very little margin for error in these poke compositions. I think that's why we saw them fall out of favor a little bit, because with the likes of the Vise, Jarvans, things like that, you really can get on top of them. Couple in the fact that they've got a Black Shield here, there's just no room for either Ninja or Spirit to make a mistake. STYZ a little bit more forgiving because he's like the third part of the poke composition, there for consistent damage, but Ninja needs to be able to slow people in kite. And if Spirit isn't chunking people with those spears, he's just not doing his job.
Yeah, and I love that Spirit sort of identified what you said there and wants to make sure he does consistent damage. There is the transform done for Ninja, so he's ready to go on this Ezreal as far as the blue build's concerned. But and a quick Void Staff there for Spirit, very cost efficient.
Yeah, it's the most... Wow, as you see the damage that comes through from it right there. That's bad news because now they've got them completely out of position.
Yeah, Aluka's down the bottom with his port ready to go. Great rotation here from World Elite. And these turrets just going to melt onto the Trinity Force BF Sword Corki.
Yeah, and Kakao wanted to pull the trigger. No one in position. STYZ chunks the whole team. They grab the turret and rotate into the jungle. Very well played.
Yeah, taking the red buff away as well. We're going to have UJ just swing in with the Janna. Got an Aegis here as well for, I guess, some of the latent Kassadin poke here, or maybe even some Morgana. I mean, Aegis just a good item, especially in sieges.
And Spirit's positioning is fantastic here. Kid, in the end, has to burn the ultimate to clear out the way, but Spirit making sure minions aren't in the way of his spears whatsoever, hanging out behind. Needs to be careful he doesn't get engaged on, but overall, very nice setup here.
Yeah, World Elite got plenty of time, and you can see Spirit, great ward there from Kitties, goes right over that wall, but Spirit immediately cleans it out.
Yeah, and the important position here is watch Kakao. Can he get in?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Ninja poking, gets only Pokemon, I believe, with the ulti, so not too much damage, but World Elite still coming in. Aluka actually going to face tank the turret. Love this choice as well, and IG have to give up another turret.
Yeah, they certainly do. Rookie and Kid took a spear each, and that was the turret gone right there. They are looking for complete non-interactive gameplay for the next 10 minutes to clean up the rest of the base. World Elite now have that time on the game. Because it gets to the point where this is as strong as their composition gets, and the tankier Kassadin gets, the more items he gets, the tankier Vi gets, the harder it is to pull this kind of siege off, especially around the base. Outer turret's very easy to siege, base turret's nearly impossible.
Yeah, and that's really the big question here. Actually, Spirit stacked with his tier as well, so if he wants to move into maybe a Seraph's, he's got the option once he has enough gold there as well. I love the Sork Shoes finish there as well, so lots of cost-efficient damage here and penetration coming through for Spirit. But one of my first observations for World Elite this game was, can they get ahead early? They've answered that question. They can. They've done it in this game. Our other criticism has probably been World Elite, they pick cool comps, they have good ideas, they often don't execute on the win conditions. That is not true in this game.
Yeah, exactly. They've executed very well in the last couple of minutes on their win condition, but as I said, it's about that clock. They need to control Dragon. I think that Dragon in a game is very key here because it gives that... Once they get the fourth dragon, it will force IG out of the base and into another poke scenario around the Dragon Pit. So I think that is very, very key, and the fact that they've controlled it from an early on now becomes crucial because IG weren't able to get any back when they were ahead.
Yeah, and full points to Spirit there for that. That early dragon that he stole away from IG is going to parlay into a very swift fourth here for World Elite. IG are onto the Baron. Aluka does have teleport, but they know what's on. There's a ward in the back, and IG just going to run all the way over there. In fact, Ninja's already used his ulti.
Yeah, exactly right. Using that on cooldown nearly as a scouting tool just because of how Q affects the cooldown of it. Already has very high cooldown reduction, would be maxed out nearly from that. And he's having a terrific game, transitioning into the Blade of the Ruined King. Very nicely done. I like it to deal with what Kakao is bringing to the fold, and they're now setting up the siege in the mid lane.
Yeah, when we've talked about Ninja looking good when he's comfy, he's looked probably most at home on Ezreal so far. Maybe a Nivea if we want to talk about that as well. I mean, World Elite are going to look to poke. They're going to be careful about it here, but Spirit does so much damage.
Yeah, he does silly damage at this point in the game just because of how he's built. I guess we take a look at the Zhonya's Hourglass being picked up for Pokemon. That's key because if he can slow the backline, Kakao might be able to get in, but that will be maybe a Randuin's coming out for this Maokai. And at this point in the game, he's nearly unkillable.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about tanks and 3-item power spikes here. Aluka about to hit that stride very soon here in this game, and that's still 4 dragons for World Elite. They get a fight where they can siege down turrets. They're going to melt under 4 dragons.
Yeah, they certainly are, and you can see how desperate IG are. Once again, going back towards the Baron. Can we sneak it away? The answer is no. Spirit has been completely on top of Kakao and dominated him in objective control. You wouldn't think that we'd be praising a jungler so much for 0, 1, and 2, but even his ganks early game really set the pace for World Elite.
I mean, they did, and you know, you mentioned the kill score. This is a low kill scoring game, 7 kills already. This actually reminds me of IG's Nidalee game, where there was basically no kills, and Kakao completely took over the game.
Yeah, certainly that seems to be the way that Nidalee forces a game. A little bit non-interactive, but isn't it fun to watch teams try and maneuver their way around the map and get that one step ahead that they need to be able to out-position. Once again, throwing that Ezreal ult across, making sure waves are pushing out, really trying to get everything in their favor.
Yeah, and World Elite have been doing a lot of this very well. We talked about their execution of win conditions. They've done a lot of 1-3-1 split pushing this game, and you already mentioned it, they're very safe as a small unit with the Janna.
Yeah, they certainly are. Janna is one of the best, I guess, 2 people plus the support. Janna just augments it so well. Morgana's the other one because you just can't dive on Morgana. Ooh.
Why is he actually going to get caught out there as well? Bleeding to death, but Spirit heals him up. He's going to be safe for now, but Pokemon, me and Kakao going to move in as well. Everyone wants in. UJ tries to disengage, but Pokemon will not be denied. Now Aluka going to get locked up there as well. Tanking up a lot of damage on this Maokai. Gets healed. There's Kitties. Almost gets killed by a spear there. Now Spirit does get chunked out by Rookie and has to be careful with the heal. Keep him in life. Rookie getting chunked down there. So Pokemon, though, claims another kill as Ninja goes down.
Yeah, and they're the 2 important members taking out the Corki and the Ezreal. So now Ninja can poke, I guess, but not Ninja. So Spirit can poke, but he can't really go in for the cleanup kill, and that means that they might open up the Baron.
I mean, Aluka can look to dive in here, but Spirit has to do a lot of work with the spears here to get this done. Baron going to get shredded very swiftly under the double AD here, and they're going to try and clear out some more. Spirit, can he thread a few spears? Pokemon tanks that one very intelligently.
Yeah, able to get rid of the first cooldown. Who does the next one hit? Aluka's in there.
Yeah, he's actually going straight in the back there. Spirit going to dive in. Can he steal? He does get the Baron, and Kakao goes down, and that's actually very good news for World Elite. Now Rookie in the backline going to get shredded to pieces. Spirit is dead, but UJ and Aluka can just clean up enough. Kitty's going to run away. I don't think Maokai is going to be able to kill it, but everything goes right for World Elite.
And everything went horrible for IG. They lost the Baron. They failed a flash over the wall that would have put Kid in perfect position to clean up the fight from safety. Wasn't able to get it. Now they've got a Baroned up siege composition with only Spirit going down.
Well, Spirit, I said you had to do a lot of work there, and you did work.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was able to poke out Aluka. Massive credit getting in there. The execution damage, and that was the failed flash that nearly cost them the fight. Wasn't able to get the terrain advantage. Would have been able to get a lot of damage done over the wall. In the end, just wasn't to be.
And my apologies, the award for Best Actor, in fact, goes to Aluka. He was the one that stole the Baron somehow as Maokai.
Yeah, so it gets in there. That's what happens in a high-pressure situation. Just so much can go wrong, and in that case, it did for World Elite. And a very aggressive call coming out of Kakao, but wasn't able to secure it.
Yeah, Spirit now Seraph's completed and an extra blasting one, so doing a lot of damage on the Nidalee. He's actually about 2,000 gold ahead of Kakao, who has 0 magic resist at this point in the game.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's not a great place to be if you are Kakao. He does favor, I guess, going for that Hex Drinker into the Maw of Malmortius. We've seen him do it maybe to even a fault in the past, but hasn't been able to get it done this game. And I like the answer out of IG, not taking the foot off the pedal, going very aggressive builds here. There's nearly even a Phantom Dancer picked up for Graves. Kid looking to do as much damage as possible. IE coming out next for Rookie, which is a huge item spike. So I guess they're still in a position to do good things. It's just that World Elite, this is 6,000 gold, nearly a 5th Dragon, got the Baron buff. They're in complete control. Yeah,
a great lead here, and I apologize, I told a lie here. There is a no Magic Mantle in Kakal's inventory, but no Locket here for IG to shake off some of this poke, or even use the active to shield it. World Elite in complete control right now, looking for their 5th Dragon in 35 seconds.
Yeah, they certainly are, and the problem is that with the exception of Pokemon, very immobile team coming out of IG here, but all the repositions on World Elite means summoner spells mean so much more for IG. They need the flashes. They need to be able to get in there, because if they can't really dominate and blow one person up, Ezreal, Corki, and Nidalee just become too elusive to deal with.
They really do, Kieran. World Elite, I love their trinket choices, especially in this team comp. They've actually gone for double scrying orb with all this poke.
Yeah, exactly right. Making sure that they don't have to face check anything, don't want to go anywhere near that Vi in a brushed area. And now, Graves is in the mid lane. This is going to be a 5th Dragon for free.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite going to move in here. We could see a steal coming through here for IG, which would be a little bit of repayment for the Baron. But World Elite going to do this surprisingly quickly. Nidalee especially shreds this to pieces. They should be able to get it. They do get the 5th, but a great buckshot there. But Kakal's in the back, just gets eaten there by Spirit, and Kitties and Pokemon have to run away. This damage is insane there coming out from the Corki. Ninja gets the next kill. Pokemon going to go down for a double kill there for Ezreal, and this might just be it.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be that way. Aluka goes in, able to get another kill. That will be the game secured, and World Elite come out and have an absolutely dominating performance on a hard-to-execute poke comp.
And that is not what we thought we'd saying. IG tap the mat and surrender. World Elite, what a first game here against IG.
Yeah, and what control and poise they showed. We said maybe they weren't into the position they wanted to be. They fell behind in turrets, but when they were able to pick up that one advantageous team fight, ran over the top of IG, and they did it through fantastic objective control.
Yeah, and you might not have been able to see it too easily behind the moustache face mask there by Spirit, but he was beaming after that win.
Yeah, he certainly had a good game. Once again, it was a very low kill game, 18 kills in 34 minutes, but he just led the charge as far as poke went, being able to dictate flow of the game and really secure everything his team needed.
And you know what, STYZ? Shout out, very solid game, 0-1-5. Not a pretty looking score on Corki, but fine. He kind of had one job, and that was be the serviceable 3rd threat that you talked about there. But the solo lands from World Elite came up huge in that game.
Yeah, they certainly did. Ninja, he had a very good game, able to hold down Rookie, who we've always spoke so highly of. But Aluka, 5-1-5, 10 out of 11 kill participation. Absolutely huge. Dominated the lane by himself from the start, able to build himself a lead, got the turret very early, and really was the shining star.
Then there's Pokemon. I believe Kakao did not look happy. Is he packing up a keyboard?
Yeah, so maybe a substitution coming out of IG here. We might actually see the victor after all today, phase 3 time, but that was a, I guess, intimidating performance coming out of WE.
That was. I mean, we used words like early game, mid game, dominating. Those are not the words we've currently used to describe World Elite up until this point, but they fully deserve the praise there after that match.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they did it in a way we didn't expect, but they got it done.
And a great game one for World Elite. Can they continue for a very massive upset in the 2-0? Don't get anywhere. We'll be back with the second game between IG and World Elite.